to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I am your host, Steph. You may notice I'm not in my usual spot. I'm not at home. I am on the road. I am in Mobile, Alabama, here for the week until Thursday at least, for the Senior Bowl that's going to be going on this week. It's officially draft season, so I'll have plenty of draft content for you guys. But for now, that is not what this live is about. We got some news regarding Brock Purdy, and he did unfortunately suffer a torn UCL that Adam Schefter here says will sideline him 6 months. And we're getting a lot of different viewpoints of this, different timelines, a lot of speculation. He will require surgery for this. He is getting second opinions on this injury, but the hope for now is that his surgery will just be a repair and not a full reconstruction. It won't be a Tommy John surgery. It will just be a repair of the torn UCL. And some reports are saying he should be ready for camp. David Lombardi thinks that he would miss all of the 49ers offseason program. So some things to keep an eye on, obviously throughout the season. But obviously, like I said, people are going to be speculating. What I'm most interested in right now is what Kyle Shanahan says, what the 49ers say, because I think that will give us a clear view of the timeline. And as I understand, some of the reports say that the 49ers are encouraging him or recommend him to get the surgery. So once that happens, once he does have the surgery, if he so decides, he will then, or we will get a better timeline as to when he'll be back. But for now, it seems like 6 months is what's being thrown around as the timeline, which, he should be ready for training camp, but he would miss the early portion of the offseason program. So just to round up how absolutely unlucky the 49ers have been with their quarterbacks lately, and what feels like for a while this season alone, Jimmy Garoppolo first, or Trey Lance was the first one, actually. The first shoe to drop, he fractured his tibia, had ligament damage. He's had 2 surgeries. Jimmy Garoppolo then suffered a broken foot, and he's going to be a free agent this offseason. So we'll see what happens there. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Brock Purdy now with a torn UCL that's going to sideline him 6 months. So the 49ers, yet again, going to the offseason with a ton of questions at quarterback. I mean, and it's because of injuries now that there's little certainty around what is going to happen next. And there's already talk of Tom Brady to San Francisco. I mean, it was already happening throughout the season. And now with the injury to Brock Purdy, in comes the narrative again of Tom Brady to San Francisco. It is not going to stop. And Nathan here says, should we draft a quarterback? I mean, that's the question, right? What exactly do the 49ers do? Do they look to sign a veteran like Tom Brady? Do they take a big risk and go into the season with just Trey Lance and Brock Purdy? In a perfect world where both of those quarterbacks are healthy going into the season, that would be an awesome option. But when you add the fact that these guys are coming off of pretty serious long-term injuries, I would say 6 to a year recovery timeline, that's a pretty big risk if you go into the season now with just those 2 guys. So the 49ers have some real decisions to make in regards to the quarterback position once again this offseason. And so the question is, do they draft a quarterback? I think drafting a quarterback is less likely. I mean, the 49ers, I think, always try to draft a quarterback because they always look at having depth at the position. And so they'll probably draft one late again. But I don't think they draft a quarterback high. I don't think it's going to be a priority for them to draft a quarterback. We might see another, mystery relevant kind of pick, 6th, 7th round. They might pick up a quarterback. Not every 6th or 7th round quarterback is going to turn into Brock Purdy or what he was able to do, but you get my drift. Daniel Dominguez here says Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is also getting a lot of talk, lately about the Packers wanting to move on from him. And it seems like it's kind of mutual at this point between Aaron Rodgers and the Packers wanting to move on from each other. That could be an option, but you got to keep in mind, like Aaron Rodgers, I think he would demand more money than Tom Brady at this point in his career, but I really don't know. Nathan says, Steph, who are you expecting to draft from Senior Bowl? Whew, too early to say, but I do think, obviously the 49ers are going to want to bolster the offensive line and that depth because Jake Brendel and Mike McGlinchey are going to be free agents. So center, possibly. I know they drafted Nick Zakelj last season. And maybe a right tackle is something they want to look at, although I've seen reports that the 49ers are wanting to groom Colton McKivitz, so that is also an option. But yeah, I think offensive line is definitely going to be something that the 49ers look to address in this draft, among a few other things. But I would say those are that's the highest thing on my list personally. But I'll keep an eye on a lot of different positions, and you guys let me know what positions you want me to focus on for the 49ers, and I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you, Mariah, for tuning in. Appreciate you. Nathan says, I'm thinking we're going to draft a quarterback out of Fresno State named Jake Haener. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Haener. I've heard really great things about him. And in fact, he's apparently the son of one of the KTVU reporters. So, yeah, he has that Bay Area connection going on. He went to Fresno State. So, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on him. And definitely an intriguing option, I guess. But we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm loving the names, Nathan, for some of these draft options. I'll keep an eye on it. But going back to the Brock Purdy and how that relates to Tom Brady, I mean, if you hate the Tom Brady discussion and the discourse, I'm sorry, but it's going to continue throughout the offseason. If it's not me, it's going to be the national media and whoever else. But this is real, right? And it doesn't seem like either Tom Brady or Jimmy Garoppolo would maybe want to take a discount to come to San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, has already been here for the last few years, right? Or he's been dragging along. He's overstaying his welcome. And so that also brings up the possibility of, do the 49ers bring Jimmy Garoppolo back another year just because of what happened to Trey Lance? Would both sides want to do this yet again? I mean, I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's proven that, yeah, you can win with him, but also he's proven that he does get hurt quite a lot. I mean, all the 49ers quarterbacks have gotten hurt quite a lot, but Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe not a good solution. But if the 49ers just simply want a bridge quarterback, an insurance policy once again, maybe that's an option. But Jimmy Garoppolo, at this point, he's looking for a payday. There's going to be more teams who are looking for a quarterback this offseason, in which Jimmy Garoppolo, who should be healthy by then, will be looking to throw his hat in the ring. And this time, hopefully, in his eyes, he will have a spot in the quarterback carousel. But yeah, Tom Brady, that discussion will not end. This is only the beginning. It's only been, one day of the off season, and we're already talking about Tom Brady. So it's not going to end, unfortunately. But the thing with having Tom Brady is, yes, you would have to invest more into the quarterback position, in which case with Purdy and Lance, it's pretty nice just having the two of them and knowing that you can bolster up the roster elsewhere and make it the deepest roster in other areas instead of, allocating a lot of money to the quarterback position. I know that would be ideal, but unfortunately with the injuries, that would be very difficult and very risky for the 49ers to do. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do. Also, some reports, Ian Rappaport said if the 49ers want Brady, it's not going to be cheap. He's been getting paid about $30 million per year with the Bucks. Even if he were to move on from the Bucks, I believe he would be getting paid from them until the 2026 season. So maybe that's a cause for him potentially taking a discount, but Ian Rappaport doesn't really see it. He doesn't see Tom Brady, taking a vet minimum deal. So the 49ers, obviously, if they did want to explore the option of Tom Brady, they would have to cough up some money. So it's a matter of would they be interested in doing that? But the other option is going to the season with two young quarterbacks coming off of injuries. So it seems like if I had to guess, the 49ers are going to bring a veteran in, and whether that's Garoppolo once again, Brady, or someone else, I think that's the route they go. But offseason is long. The quarterback situation is fluid. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Maybe we get more information about Brock Purdy and his injury, and, that can lead to some other, decisions being made. But so that's the news on Brock Purdy. DAmico Ryans is another shoe to drop in the offseason, of course. We're hearing about DAmico Ryans getting a lot of interest from the Texans. He's going to be meeting with the Texans later this evening. It's Monday, January 30th today. It is already the evening, right? It's already nighttime. So I would assume he is meeting with the Texans, now, possibly. And in which case, if the Texans really like him, which it seems like they do because all reports point to that, I would imagine that DAmico Ryans does take that job as early as tonight, but we'll hear more in the coming days. But like I said, it's all but certain that DAmico Ryans has, his chapter with the 49ers has ended, and, he will be going elsewhere. And that kind of starts a trickle effect of sorts, because who knows? Does he take Anthony Lynn with him? The 49ers would then need another what was he doing? Like offensive coordinator and running backs coach, which Bobby Turner's back, so Bobby Turner could take over that portion. But you know what I mean? There'd be some holes to fill. Obviously, a defensive coordinator being the biggest, and Vic Fangio has been one of the popular names in regards to potential, fill-ins for DAmico Ryans. And there was a lot of talk in the last few days about Fangio agreeing to terms with the Miami Dolphins to be their defensive coordinator. But then those reports have since backtracked. So now it seems unclear, or at this point, it seems like he hasn't decided on anything. And if I had to guess, he was talking to other teams because the 49ers were still in the playoffs. He had to keep his options open. I think if the 49ers went to the Super Bowl, he probably doesn't wait around and sees what happens, right? But now that the 49ers are out of the playoffs and DAmico Ryans is going to be taking a head coaching position here pretty soon, Vic Fangio probably okay, perfect. I think I would take that position. That's what I think. That's what I think, maybe. I think he was just keeping his options open by entertaining the Dolphins, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, who knows? But Vic Fangio is an option. Also, Evero, I think, is another option that people have been mentioning for defensive coordinators. So we'll see what happens after DAmico Ryans. After that shoe drops, I think we'll start to see some domino effects, and we'll start hearing some names that the 49ers are interested in. But yeah, Fangio has been the one linked to the 49ers for the past year, because they knew that DAmico Ryans was going to be a head coach in this cycle. And so they kind of already had their ducks lined up in a row for Vic Fangio to be the heir to DAmico Ryans. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, I mean, that's the latest on the 49ers and, what's going on with those guys. All right. I'm interested in some comments here. Again, if you guys have any draft positions that you want the 49ers to address, let me know in the comments because I'll be keeping an eye on those positions, throughout the week here at Mobile. And, I'll be having daily, lives to break down the practices, who was a standout, and whatnot. So I'm curious. Let me know what positions you are interested in the draft. Nathan is interested in an offensive lineman. He mentions center Luke Weipler and corner Clark Phillips, Jaron Hall, corner, and Jake Hayner, who's the quarterback. Yeah, all some names I'll keep an eye on. Nathan says, will we get more draft picks for DAmico Ryans? Yeah, we would. And we would get even more draft picks if Anthony Lynn were to leave with DAmico Ryans, I believe. So, yeah, I think the 49ers would get additional third-round picks for the departure of DAmico Ryans. But we'll just have to wait and see because, again, it's unclear whether Anthony Lynn would potentially go with him. So it'd be interesting to see. Nathan asks, when is the Senior Bowl? The Senior Bowl, the game is on Saturday. I believe it airs on NFL Network. But the practices start tomorrow. So I'll be tuning in and I'll be there checking out the practices and taking notes, and I'll circle back. I want to expand my draft content this offseason. So I'm working on that. If you guys have followed me since last offseason, especially on Twitter, you guys may remember that I track pro day attendance. So any pro day that the 49ers attend, I will report that. Some people really like that kind of content, so I do it. And also, I keep track of who the 49ers have met with and who they've reportedly shown interest in. So those are things that I'm kind of ramping up content for, and I have a spreadsheet going. So I'll make that public to you guys probably later this week, as I'm sure I'll have more names on there by the end of the week. So yeah, draft content is coming. More off-season content is coming. Like I said, we talked about Brock Purdy. That's going to be a big topic, and the quarterback situation here is going to be a big topic throughout the playoffs. And I'll keep talking about it. Also, the pending free agents, something to talk about. And also cap space going into next season. The NFL did inform teams today that the salary cap for 2023 will be $224.8 million per team. And so as of right now, according to OTC, the 49ers are projected to have $16.6 million in cap space in 2023, and that would be 10th most in the NFL. Part of that is because they do have a lot of pending free agents, and we'll see if the 49ers bring some guys back. Some guys I'd be interested in bringing back. Robbie Gould, he's been awesome for the 49ers. I know he's getting up there in age, but he's someone that I would entertain bringing back. It's hard finding a reliable kicker, as we've seen many times in the NFL, and Robbie Gould is as good as gold. So I'd be interested in bringing him back. We'll see if the 49ers do too. Sean Gibson, definitely would love to have him back. Brunskill, he's been just very reliable for the offensive line. He can fill in a lot of different roles on the offensive line. So I think having a guy like that, like Brunskill, would be awesome for this team. Although I do think if he did have an opportunity to get a starting position somewhere, he would absolutely take that, right? The 49ers would only probably offer him a backup position, and they would only pay him backup money, right? So if an opportunity rises for Brunskill that offers him more money, he'll take it. But otherwise, he's someone I would like to have back too. But for me, the priorities would be Sean Gibson and Robbie Gould. I would have said Emmanuel Mosley a long time ago, but the fact that, DAmico Ryans is going to be head coach, and Robert Saleh, he's out there as well. Emmanuel Mosley could be a guy who ends up in either one of those places, either with the Jets or Texans or wherever DAmico Ryans goes, right? So that's an option for them. And if DAmico goes to the Texans, they're going to have a lot of money to throw around to free agents. So Emmanuel Mosley could get a big payday wherever DAmico goes. And I actually was pretty pleased with the way that, Deommodore Lenoir wrapped up the postseason. Him and Charvarius Ward did a great job in that Eagles game. It's not going to be talked about enough because of the outcome of the game, but I really liked what I saw from Lenoir, and I think he's capable of being a starter. So with another offseason under his belt to grow and continue to learn, I think I would be fine with him being the corner opposite Charvarius Ward. I really do. So the 49ers may feel the same way. They may let Emmanuel Mosley walk, and Emmanuel Mosley anyway, even if they were interested in bringing Mosley back, there's no guarantee he would come back because another team would be willing to throw more money at him. So that's always what the 49ers are up against. Same could happen with Jimmy Ward. I mean, Jimmy Ward could also follow DAmico Ryans. I know that would be an excellent piece for DAmico Ryans to go in and have a veteran like Jimmy Ward who kind of like sets the standard, he's a culture setting kind of guy. He's been through the ups and downs. That would be just like a great addition for DAmico Ryans' defense wherever he goes. So he could get more money elsewhere. I would love for Jimmy Ward to retire a 49er, but I don't see it happening for several reasons, unfortunately. But to me, those are the big options. But the 49ers, they've done an incredible job of taking care of the turnover. Like, they do pretty well with turnover every season. They have a lot of pending free agents, some who you would look at and be like, these are really important guys. And most of the time, they're able to find pretty good replacements for those guys. So we'll see what they cook up this offseason. One guy who I was just thinking of someone who I was kind of interested in bringing it back, but I kind of forgot. Sorry, if it comes back to me, I'll say it. But yeah, I mean, Javon Kinlaw is a guy I want to talk about this offseason because ultimately I think the 49ers keep him, but he just did not look good this season, unfortunately. Between him not looking that good and all the issues that have kind of followed him throughout his career, unfortunately, with his chronic knee issues, 49ers need to get, I think, a new option at defensive tackle. Kevin Atkins was someone who they drafted last season. Well, he was a undrafted free agent last season who can potentially fill in that role. He was injured, I think, much of this season, but he's an option for the 49ers there. But I would definitely like them to have like a better defensive tackle next season. I would really just like the 49ers to have one of the best offensive lines next season. And I think they could do it. And one of the better defensive lines. I mean, we saw what Philly looked like in that game, and they dominated in the trenches. And yes, I know Brock Purdy was hurt, but it doesn't change the fact that their line play was really, really good. And it's clear that that's why they've been so successful. So I would love for the 49ers to bolster their line play, both sides of the ball. So yes, right. I'll be keeping an eye on the trenches at the Senior Bowl. But all right, guys, those are all the updates that I have for you today. I mean, like I said, tomorrow I'll be going live again to recap day one of Senior Bowl practices. And yeah, have a good rest of your Monday evening, folks. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. Peace.